It's the second last episode of Dune. I think I liked this one more than almost all the others.
Really?
Yeah.
That's so interesting that you're wrong.
Oh, you didn't like this one?
It just dragged at times. Like there was some stuff that was definitely good. I'd put it third, maybe.
I felt like this one, the people interacted with each other completely differently to every other episode. I looked up to see if it was a different director because it did feel so different.
Yeah.
Not just characters acting a little bit different, but the way everyone was talking was more with purpose.
Intentions were a lot clearer.
Yeah, they had a reason to be doing the things they were doing. So like pieces were actually moving around the board.
Yeah.
It could be the fact that we've watched 4 episodes and they've gotten everything in place. I would say you don't need 4 episodes. You don't need 4 hours to put pieces in place.
Yeah.
That's an insane thing to do. Movies do that in under 20 minutes. But the characters also interacted with each other differently. Like, everyone seemed almost more likable, and it was, at the very least, a different director, but she also did the first episode.
Well, that was the worst episode, so...
But she was also dealing with a completely different set of things. Like, she was setting stuff up, whereas now she's actually had to use them, so maybe?
Yeah, but like the way that things are going, this is written to set up a second season.
Entirely, yes.
She has a different set of challenges ahead of herself.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
If all the episodes were like this, I'd be a lot happier with the show.
I think it felt most prevalent with Baron Harkonnen, and I don't know whether it was because he was just cracked up on spice the whole time, but I did really enjoy that scene. So basically, he goes to see Desmond Hart and apologize.
The new Grand Vizier.
Yes, the new general of the sardaukar army, because we get the proto-sardaukar in this episode. And Baron Harkonnen saying, "Oh, sorry, man, didn't mean to offend by accusing you all of murder, but can we be cool?" And then Desmond's like, "Yeah, I guess so, if you give me a little bit of info." And he does, but he gives him some spice, and you just kind of see the nervousness fade away.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn, this man's really coming into his own when he's on spice. Again, I don't know if it was on purpose or whether we just saw him mostly this episode on spice.
Yeah.
But he was more commanding. He was more conniving. He was more of a Harkonnen than like the sniveling little douche that we saw every other episode.
Yeah. Now that he's getting some semblance of power or trust, it's like, no, it was all just a spice. Like, it just gave him the courage to just speak his mind and...
Or it was a new writer. Like, one of the two things. But that's the thing. It's like, it kind of felt like everybody this episode was hopped up on spice. Everyone was more energetic. Everyone was moving with more intention. And I'm like, okay, I like this more. Like, that's what I got from this episode. There definitely were still downer storylines. Like, every now and then something would pop up and it's just 2 people sitting in a room talking about stuff we don't care about because one of the characters had only just appeared this episode. The downer for me, I think mainly was Valya. I loved Child Valya. I thought she was really driven. Old Valia just doesn't do it for me because she's got the whole... She's meant to be the smartest person in any room she's in. She has the effect of Admiral Thrawn from the Ahsoka show, where something goes wrong or something happens and she goes, "Ah, yes, it was my plan all along." Because Baron Harkonnen has that little thing where he gives information over to Desmond and then Desmond goes to go follow through on that information. I'm like, okay, cool. Like, this character's like thinking, he's doing stuff, he's meaning, but then turns out, oh, Valia told him to do it.
Yeah.
And Valia somehow made him come out of his shell and suddenly feel confident.
I think she works.
But I thought he only had that confidence because of the spice. But now it's like he was just doing what he was told by Valia. So it's like...
She's like propped him up because surely she's... Well, it's what she's kind of been saying. Like, I'm going to guide you and the family to the top. You just need to listen to what I say to a T. So in his mind, like the Sisterhood and stuff, and especially Valia, is the puppet masters, at least like from what he believes.
That's what they're meant to be by the end of it, yeah.
Yeah, but like he's obviously very sold into it because, like, you know, they're so like wishful for a truth sayer and stuff like that, and they're like finally, and they're getting like the Reverend Mother, the head of it.
I think it just took away from him for me. Like, it was, he finally got a cool moment, and then it's like, oh, it was her cool moment. But then she does it again at the end of the episode after the bartender's storyline, and she has, like, basically she tries to blow Desmond Hart up from the information that Baron Harkonnen gave him. He goes to investigate. She tries to blow him to hell. He survives, and Valia's like, oh, I mean, I don't know how he did that, but that's fine. That plan worked. I've got this other plan going. Like, I get the whole point of the Bene Gesserit is fingers in all the pies, but it's like her sole vision. Even the people in her own Bene Gesserit are confused or don't know what's happening. Like, it's just her, and it just doesn't feel as cool as like this ghost organization that's all moving.
That's the thing. That's why I think you can't really have them as a pivotal central character in the show.
Yeah, they shouldn't be the protagonist.
I feel like they should be a very one-dimensional character in the show, like the whole Sisterhood. They should all be the same. It should be like you're speaking to one and you're speaking to another one, and it's the same person.
Make it feel cooler.
Yeah, it's like you're speaking to one entity. Like they're all connected. They all have the same goal in mind. But it's weird, and I think it's just because it's like a proto. This is like a first real generation of the Bene Gesserit. Like it's like what they wanted to become and what Valya has created them. So none of them are really on the same page. They just do what Valya says, and then they're like slowly getting hinged from that and realizing that it's fucked up.
But it's still working the way it does in the future. Like everything's going according to a plan. They're meant to be the beginnings of the Bene Gesserit, but they're already finished. Like they're working the way they do in the future. Yeah. So I feel like I need them to be scrappier. Like all our plans can't go to plan. Like I want to see them build something rather than just, yes, everything is working out. Like she's already had Emperor Carino's concubine, who turns out it's somewhat of a reveal, is Constantine's real mum. He's basically Paul Atreides, like a bastard, basically. Yeah. Valya's kept his ex-girlfriend out of the picture so that she can now bring her back. It's a trump card, sure, but it's just so out of nowhere. It's like, this one thing failed, don't worry. I have this other thing that I've already cooked up in the background.
Yeah, I think if you take a couple of steps back, it seems like she's got it all sorted out, and like that's like a great idea. But I think as you watch it in motion, it just feels messy.
Because she is meant to be like the main character, we don't really see inside of her. We saw... Whoa.
She was only in this episode also for like 4 minutes.
Which again hurts it. Yeah. Whereas when she was a young person, it's like we actually saw her doing stuff. She was losing for most of that. She was like standing in the rain and being upset. She had internal conflict. But one thing I'll say about the characters this week is they did have more interpersonal conflict. Like instead of everyone just kind of... I don't know. In previous episodes, it felt like everyone kind of just stood around and whereas this... they were clashing a lot more. So you have the brother and sister actually have a little bit of a squabble.
Yep.
You've got Carino and wife have a little bit of a squabble, but like more like the tensions have rise so far that she's finally going to turn her back on him. You've got him having secondary thoughts. I still think he's a terrible emperor. I don't know if that's meant to be like part of the Dune.
I love the actor. What's his name?
Mark Strong.
I love Mark Strong. I don't think he was the right person for this character.
He's doing nothing for me.
He's doing nothing. Do you know who I need? I need like a Gary Oldman.
Yeah, someone that can bring more to it.
The whole thing with this God Emperor is...
Daddy issues,
but he's like the most useless in his like lineage. He's like my father and my father's father. It's like almost like he's like, it's a time of peace and I'm doing nothing.
Which is weirdly close to House of the Dragon. That king is considered weak because he's also in a time of peace.
Yeah.
And he's like, isn't this a good thing?
Yeah. Now we're seeing him like come into it. He's doing like that march in between the sardaukar, giving old mate like the head position, and he hasn't come into it. Like I thought he would be ready to switch it on. He's like, it's my time to shine. But I'm like, Mark, you're not selling it to me here.
He's still reacting to the way things are turning out. And I guess, again, it could be character. But he's reacting to like Desmond taking control and saying, I'll do this for you. And he's like, that's a great idea. And then his ex-girlfriend comes back and is now seducing him. So he's not really, he's a shell.
I think it's like he's not actually fit for the trials and tribulations of being an emperor.
But we also haven't seen those.
And the honeypotting and the people whispering in his ear and being like, that's a great idea. Like he can't really think for himself because he's never been put in a situation. And the Truce has always probably been like leading him. So now he's making decisions for himself.
Well, he hasn't made any decisions. I feel like we should have seen him at least try to rule. Like Robert Baratheon, we saw him doing kingly stuff and he was a terrible king. Like he was just bad at it and he would like let other people take over. Whereas this guy's in charge of the universe.
Yeah.
And like we've seen him do nothing. We've seen him make no real decisions. He half brokered one deal, but turns out that was the Bene Gesserit doing it. And yes, I guess again, it could be the Bene Gesserit control everything. He's a shell. Like this is the point of it, but it's just not interesting to watch, I think is the problem. So like that might be the point, but he's in the show a lot considering he's not doing anything.
He almost, I feel, has the most screen time.
He probably
out
does.
of anybody. Like he has a lot, and I guess it's because a lot of characters' storylines intersect through him.
Yeah.
And I guess like it's the royal family and the whole thing is the Game of Thrones that's being played.
Well, Robert Baratheon spent most of the season in bed, I think, with his ball wound.
Well, he got ball wounded in like episode 3 and then like 2 episodes in bed and then just died.
So it's a way to get rid of the king or put him somewhere. Whereas, this king's able to go around and do stuff.
After Brian Harkonnen gives Desmond like a lead about spice traders and underground black markets. He goes to the pub, the nightclub, where the rebels
Steven's
are.
favorite place.
Steven's, he doesn't like it, does he?
Hates it.
He's like, this shouldn't exist.
Yeah, it has a low ceiling and it drives him crazy.
But he goes and, I don't know, just starts trashing the place.
On his way there, it made me laugh and think of Steven again, the fact that he would have hated it. They show space cop cars, like flying through. They're not cop cars, they're sardaukars. The way they fly through space, their design, it's a space cop car from Cyberpunk 2099 or whatever the fuck. And it just made me think, like, Steven would fucking abhor this.
Yeah.
Because you didn't even need it anyway. Like, you then cut from that to Desmond walking into the club surrounded by the Goonies. It was a setup shot, but it changed the vibe so much because it's full CGI.
Yeah.
And then you cut to this dingy little pub. It feels like the Firefly TV show. Like, it feels cheap.
What I don't get about that whole interaction is
why they started punching chairs and tipping over
like
tables.
Shit open, and then she's just like this. Look, she was planting charges in that place.
Yeah.
All right.
They didn't find any.
She was always going to blow it up. But then when she goes and sees Valya at the end, she's like,
after blowing it up,
she's like, I had to just blow up my entire life. You were always going to do that.
And you're a sister. Like, that should have been, that's your side gig. You're a sister. You should be like, I can finally go home to Warlock 9.
Yeah. Isn't the whole
sisterhood above all?
Sisterhood above all. You have to stand in that fucking rain until you're taught. You got to hold your hand against Bunsen burners.
You wanted Valya to kill her, didn't you?
I wanted Valya.
Is not killing enough people.
Young Valya would have killed her.
Make her slit her throat.
But she literally was like, young acolyte, you're a fucking idiot. You'll see when you're older. You know, peace. And then she hits the elevator button.
And goes to Arrakis, maybe?
No, she doesn't want to go back to Iraq.
But she probably will, because I think season 2, I think halfway through making this season,
going to go back to Arrakis.
Yeah.
We're going back to Arrakis.
Why does everyone go back to Arrakis? Halfway through this season, they like writing. They're like, "Fuck, we need Arrakis, my guy.
Yeah.
No one's gonna watch the show unless we can put him on Dune.
Yeah, we need sand. We bought a bunch of sand already.
There's a guy just holding a bag of sand.
That brings us to plotline J. So Kieran warns
Bartender.
Spice sister,
Angry Spice.
Angry Fremen sister
about the sardaukar coming.
He's essentially like, you can't rat me out. He's like, I love my job and I want to keep fucking this princess.
And then she's like, I know they're coming. I've planted bombs already. So it's like everyone's always one step ahead of everyone else, just making other characters feel pointless. Yeah, because like he rocks up. He didn't need to be in that scene. He like saves her, I guess. But if anything, him talking to her slowed her down from doing her other stuff.
With very fast combat.
Yes. Let's talk about combat.
It's a very important point in the first Dune. They show it it's like the opening scene.
In the original too.
In everything. They always show, if you're going to use the energy shield, it stops like quick projectiles. But he's like slashing and quick and stabbing. The whole point of like the laser hollow shields is it's a perfect defense against like someone who's fighting aggressively against you.
Unless they're really good at it. It at least makes the combat recognizable. So you can watch that combat and be like, yes, this is from Dune. Because they're doing things and slowing it down. Whereas, yeah, you're right.
It looks like they just went to they got like a sword teacher. And they're like, let's plan like a choreography around this.
It looks like every other sword combat in every other show.
And before you say, well, not everyone had a shield on, they go out of their way to show that some of the grunts had shields on.
And also, why would you not have one?
Why wouldn't you always have it on?
Just constantly.
You know?
Maybe that's why this sounds annoying.
Fuck.
Yeah, it just looks like any other combat.
We haven't had combat.
We've had sword training.
We've had sword training.
Which also doesn't look good. And I thought of that when the sword training was in like first episode. It didn't feel like Dune combat. It needs to look different to other combat, and it doesn't. And that's a shame because it's losing its identity. So now this show doesn't have the Dune-style combat, and it doesn't have the planet Dune.
It doesn't have Dune.
Like, yeah, there's literally zero Dune
in this
Dune.
There's no sandworms. There's no...
Where's the spice? No, there's plenty of spice this episode.
We found the spice. Ragnar Lothbrok dumps all the spice. Finds a beautiful black dress.
That is a lot of spice.
Well, he gets they find all the barrels and he dumps all these subscribe buttons out.
And now they're all high as fuck because there's spice everywhere. But they've all got their COVID masks on.
I'm surprised he didn't do like a Scarface and just be like, you know.
I mean, he definitely liked it, whatever it was.
Well, I think that's unrefined spice.
Yes, because he gives Baron Harkonnen maybe a crack rock.
He gives him a JO crystal.
Yeah.
He gives him his JO crystal, and it's already pulsing.
It's already powered up.
He's like, whoa. He's like, whoa.
That's just from today.
I'd like to know what that is. I'm sure it's like...
It's probably crack rock. It's
crack
probably
rock,
it's probably
or
pure
it's just worth
spice.
a lot of money.
And he's like, don't fuck it all in one place, man.
Or someone in the comments going to be like, oh, that's an AI brain.
Yes,
or
please
something.
tell us what the little subscribe button is that Desmond gives to him. But after Kieran saves her, he basically just says, "Oh, you're a damn sister. I'm gonna go away now," and then he just leaves.
He says, "Get out of my life."
He hasn't really done anything, but then once he's gone, he pretty much goes back home, immediately gets captured.
Yeah.
And his girlfriend that sets him free at the end, shocking, the princess, does nothing that whole episode.
We don't see her set him free.
She
going
just goes
and talks to him, but yeah, that
I think she's going to try to overthrow Carino, I guess.
He seems like way too much of an important character that they just lock him up and throw away.
He's one of 2 Atreides in the whole show.
Yeah, very true.
Spoilers.
Surprise! A lot of spoiler. I will leave that for the very end. But tying into that story, the reason he gets captured is because Constantine goes through his little weapons locker while he's putting stuff away and finds his map of the castle, his layout.
Which he was doing for the heist that never happened, and we have no idea what they were heisting.
But it's like, be a bit more secretive than just putting it in your locker, my guy.
Keep it on you.
That's publicly available. I know people are going to say, it's because he left in a rush. But it's like,
And just keep it on you.
shut up.
Like,
You keep it on you or keep it in your
Hide
room.
it in a floorboard.
Anything.
Not the sword cupboard.
Eat it when you're done with it.
Well, yeah, he already changed his mind, so he didn't really need it anymore.
The God Emperor decides to make him the overseer of Arrakis.
Yes.
Which is...
It's another setup for season 2 being more around Arrakis, where sending the sun to Arrakis.
I don't think this show goes into it enough
What?
of how important spice is.
We won't talk about that because that's most of the first episode. Most of the first review.
Let me just say that now.
Get it out of the way.
Even still, they don't talk about why it's important. And I know. You've watched the movie, okay? We know why.
You might not have.
You might not have. This is a TV show. But yeah, it also hasn't done a good job of reminding you, at least talk a bit about why it's important that there needs to be someone in charge of Arrakis.
Yeah, well, we've seen it used for drugs mostly, whereas it's actually, like, its
In
big
Dune-
use is space travel.
In literally the first 15 minutes of Dune 1, they talk about how they use it for space travel, for like opening your mind and seeing, like opening rifts and portals and shit and seeing into the future and past.
They should do something, especially considering this show is mostly a lore dump show. They should probably tell us
They should have
more
lore
things.
dumped a bit. We've now watched the equivalent of the runtime of the 2
All
movies.
of them, yeah.
So but I've learnt less and know less and care less.
About characters that you've seen more. Yeah, it's a strange little thing they've got going
Interesting
on.
little feeling I'm getting.
Speaking of lore dumps, Tula's whole storyline is basically she made Lila be alive again, and she's looking after that. And then Lila channels the old grandmother. She's beaming in Mother Rakella, and
Who am I speaking to right now?
that was a good little reveal of like, like the way she talks a little bit more sophisticated. So you're like, okay, it's not the mum that would hate Valia. It was the one above that.
But it's weird. She's talking like Mother Rakella if Mother Rakella was a teenage girl.
She's doing a decent job. Yeah.
She's doing okay. Like when they're in the lab and she's like, "Oh dearie, hand me that that skin sample."
It's a little cliche because it is a kid. But yeah, all they really do with that storyline is they discover a virus is airborne and it's contaminated maybe every single person in the universe. It's a techno-organic virus.
RSV.
She chucks a bunch of buzzwords out there like RNA, which is stuff from our time.
So is Desmond's power, he can't actually set people on fire. He just activates the virus.
That's the only thing that kind of makes sense. How he spread the virus to the entire universe, I don't know.
Through spice.
All we know is that it's a techno-organic virus, which was made by the Omni Titan, I think they mentioned. It was made by someone in the Machine Wars, one of the baddies, but it's somehow gotten to here. So Desmond is somehow controlling that. We don't know, because again, if he was eaten by Shai Hulud, Shai Hulud isn't a techno
Well, that's what makes
god.
me think that it was Leto II is Desmond, like channeled into Shai Hulud, into Desmond. But now I'm switching more to the machine god was inside that worm.
But he's in the
and
past.
Implanted himself into Desmond. The AI machine gods are coming back and they're just using Desmond.
Right. Yeah.
That's what
I
I'm
mean, either
thinking.
way, incredibly convoluted and confusing. And that's going to be an interesting, like, how are they going to get that across in season 2? Like, by the way, But that's all they really do. They scan a piece of brain and realize that everyone's got a virus in them.
The Sisterhood's falling apart as well. Like, that's another thing they're trying to get across.
Because they're all having nightmares.
A lot of the acolytes are leaving, and the old acolyte lady. Old crone is, I don't know, she's like growing with distrust.
She's been a right bitch.
For Tula, she is.
But yeah, so a bunch of acolytes are just leaving. We see them just head off. And then we see the other acolytes that we've seen a little bit more of just kind of like scowling and being like, Yeah, we're going through it quite quickly because stuff does move in this episode more than usual. I enjoyed the conversations a lot more. They sounded less hoity-toity, more character-driven. The big final reveal is Tula gets the blood from Desmond from Valia, and she goes to test it in the blood testing machine.
It's a very TV show reveal where it's like, the Emperor is having sex with his Bollywood mistress, and the Queen is having sex with Desmond, or at least just like seducing him, because she's like, this ex-girlfriend bitch is back. Step into my man. I'm gonna go fuck this other guy.
I'm gonna go fuck his first lieutenant.
Well, she's like, they do like an awkward kiss, and I'm like, I don't know if Desmond likes that. He's a big worm man, maybe.
I don't think the Queen has anything going except like lady like seducing talents, so I think she probably is gonna do that.
She does drop that like she had grand plans for becoming the Queen, like kind of like what she was trying to instill into her daughter. It was like, that was my plan, like that was like
And Desmond has mummy issues because we find out his mum abandoned him with savages or scavengers.
Scavengers?
I didn't have subtitles on. Probably scavengers.
He has a funny little accent, he does.
He's half Nordic, half
Definitely
Australian.
Scavengers.
Half South African.
But who was his mummy who left him?
His mummy is, well, I guess they don't outright tell you.
Yeah. We just see a cool little...
They say origin, Atreides, origin, Harkonnen, bloop, bloop,
and then it goes
bloop, bloop. And then we're like, what the? We're like, holy shit, is he like Paul from the future, or is he like Leto 2 from the future? Like somehow come back in time? We don't. Time travel might be possible.
He's a Harkonnen, but Leto 2 is becoming him, so he's becoming an Atreides, so he's 50-50 DNA.
But then they show like a little they show a little baby photo, and it's probably just Tula's kid.
And you see Tula going...
Because I don't think they ever say in the prequel episode that Tula is pregnant.
No.
But she did bang Atreides a few times.
We see her bang. She fucks.
She bang.
Tula fucks. Young Tula, that is.
Young Tula fucks. Old Tula's boring.
No, dry as
But young Tula fucks. And apparently at some point gave up her child so that she could become a sister. And that child was Desmond Hart. And then he lived with scavengers. And then at some point he worked on Arrakis and then got eaten by a giant worm. And now he's lieutenant of the God King.
Damn, he's destined for greatness.
he's making his way up the ladder, but it's an interesting reveal, I guess, a little bit. Like, I don't know, it doesn't shock me. I'm just like, oh, it's that.
It is. I was coming up with so many things in my head of
everything
who he
you thought of was cooler.
Yeah, that I'm like, oh, he's just someone's kid from this timeline.
Yeah, it doesn't explain the special powers or the technovirus.
Things I want more of that. But I feel like it's going to be reserved for a flashback in season 2, maybe.
We got one more episode.
Maybe can you reckon we can fit it in the end of this next episode?
I mean, they're at an hour, and I still don't know what we're going to do in the finale. What could they do in next week's episode to blow you away or to make you...
Tula has to die.
You reckon they're going to kill Tula? No, we need Tula because Desmond needs mummy issues to keep powering him. And Desmond knows that his mum was a Bene Gesserit, and that's why he hates those witches. But he doesn't know who, I guess.
Okay, then. The Emperor's going to die.
You reckon Carino's going to die?
Carino dies. The Queen takes the throne. The son goes to Arrakis.
Because the daughter can continue the bloodline. So, like, that's... I guess he could die. I don't know whether he dies in the books, but I think they've changed enough from the books that this is based on that you could pretty much do anything. Like, I don't think it's, like, shot for shot the book or anything. So I think they could technically do whatever they wanted within reason.
And we've seen that with modern day adaptations.
They do it enough, yeah. HBO is pretty fast and loose. They don't really care.
Thanks, HBO.
For better or worse sometimes. But even if they kill him, I don't know. It just feels like they're setting up season 2. It doesn't feel like they're going to...
I told you, this season 1 was a lore dump. They knew they were going to get 2 seasons because Dune is hot.
It's not greenlit yet.
Yeah, but nothing nowadays gets greenlit.
Depends on viewing figures.
Lord of the Rings only got greenlit recently for season 3.
Yes, but they went in that with like a 5-season plan and like $1 billion a season.
Yeah, I think these guys have a 5-season plan. I think these guys have like a 30-season plan that's going to keep going, and the last season will be the start of Dune 1. The best part about this episode is the season's almost done.
I guess the episode built up to a finale. Like, yeah, you did the whole TV show montage of this person sleeping with this person sleeping with this person.
This person's the kid of this person.
Very soap opera.
Yeah.
You're my long lost son. I'm sleeping with your father. I'm sleeping with you because I hate my husband. I'm using you to get back at my father, so I'm going to set you free from prison. Very soapy.
Game of Thrones meets Days of Our Lives.
Yeah, it's much more like that because it doesn't feel as epic or like gritty, I guess. It's not a very gritty show in general.
Even the violence in this episode was like really nothing.
Game of Thrones always had that spice. Game of Thrones was different to anything else out at the time, whereas this isn't. It's the same as 4 shows I'm watching currently. Yeah, so we have no idea how next week is going to wrap up. Give us your theories for next week. I want to know what you're excited for and what you think will build up and what they're going to carry over to season 2. Like, what will bring you back? What can they do that'll make you go, yeah, season 2?
What's the cliffhanger? What do you find out?
What is the cliffhanger? Yes. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe and all the fun stuff. We have Instagram and all those as well.